cannot fully appreciate how much your lives changed or how much you lost on this morning 14 years ago. We cannot understand how it has felt on every day since, to long for their laugh, to see their smile, or to feel their embrace. We simply cannot comprehend the weight of their absence.
14 years ago, everything changed. We went from being a nation that felt invincible to one understanding how vulnerable we are every single day to those who seek our demise. We got tough, we banded together, we promised each other we would ensure it never happened again. But how close are we to making that happen? And how badly have we failed to learn the lessons of history? Our first guest is the former Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department of Homeland Security, also served as General Counsel to the National Security Agency, Stewart Baker, joined by the President of the Rutherford Institute and a constitutional lawyer, John Whitehead. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both for being here today on a very difficult evening, a very difficult day for a lot of people here. Stewart, I want to begin with you, because obviously when we think about 9/11, we think about security, terror, the people who are killed, and that invincibility that we once felt. Are we any closer to getting that back, or have we just failed miserably to try and at least recover that little piece of what we had?
Well, we'll never be as secure as we felt in 2000 and the early 2001, because we weren't as secure as we felt. And now I'm afraid, understand just how insecure we are. But the fact is that many of the things that we did after 9/11 have prevented the kind of attack that 9/11 was. Well organized, carefully planned, carefully trained for, and carried out quickly against us inside the United States. It's a confession of failure on the part of the jihadists that they're just finding idiots to go out with guns and commit suicide by cop in an effort to kill a few Americans. That's not the kind of thing that we should be afraid of.
John, as a constitutional lawyer, of course, one of the things that has changed drastically is just our security itself and a lot of the laws that follow around it as well. There are many people still to this day who feel as if we didn't learn enough. We need to go a little bit farther. We need to dig deeper into the people who come into America and the people who are already here. How do you feel, though, about those people who say we're not safe enough and the government needs to take a stronger hand?
Well, it depends on how you view it and how you're connected. See, I handle a lot of civil liberties cases where I'm seeing people who are being shot, SWAT team raids up to 80,000 a year now, and that's greatly increased since 9/11. And I talked to a lot of policemen who don't like that, but it goes back to their military training, which they see a lot of equipment they're receiving from governmental agencies that have militarized the police. That's a problem. But again, I walk with a lot of policemen who don't like that. And I see, Edward Snowden blew the top off it with the NSA and all the spying. I mean, do we have privacy in America? Remember that the key to America is our Constitution, our freedom, and what we want to maintain is our freedoms. But if the government's continually violating our rights on a daily basis, I work with the American Civil Liberties Union, I work with people on the left and the right, they're all saying the same thing. We've got to watch what we're doing. We want to be secure, but what I see is we've internalized it. And when I handle a case and I'm seeing a man and woman who are sitting home at night watching television, their door blasts down and the police are in the wrong home and they end up shooting the dogs and shooting a kid, we've overcompensated. So
okay.
We need balance. I think that's one of the key points.
So let me get there then, and let me throw this to you then, Stewart, when we talk about balance and the fact that John said we have overcompensated. Have we, or have we not compensated enough, in your opinion?
No, I fear that John is part of a symptom of a revival of the September 10 politics. People don't remember that the end of the Clinton administration produced a phenomenon almost exactly the same as what we're seeing now, with Republicans on the far right and Democrats on the far left uniting to say we don't have privacy, we need to cut back on what government is doing. And that contributed a lot to our unpreparedness on 9/11. I believed at the time that I had made a mistake in tolerating that kind of talk in 1998 and 1999, and I've resolved, really as a result of that attack, that I will never tolerate that again. I think John is completely wrong when he suggests that we need more privacy rights. The government has done a very good job of protecting privacy.
Okay, John, let me go ahead and let you answer to that.
Well, again, if you look at the cases I see where people are corralled, they're moved in, they're thrown into jail, our prison population zooming since 9/11 for minor crimes. You're seeing people getting shot in the middle of the night, by the way, for less than an ounce of marijuana. Police are going through the doors.
That has nothing, John.
Well, but we get that. Hold on one second. And John, the points you're making are good, but Stewart, I heard you in the background here. Go ahead, make that point.
I don't think John's the phenomenon that John's talking about, prison populations, more police shootings, have anything to do with the reaction to 9/11. Certainly wasn't part of anything that the Homeland Security Department.
Studying the problem, sir. I've written a number of books on this, by the way. One called Battlefield America. You need to read it. But it goes through, it's heavily footnoted, Washington Post, New York Times. I'm not speaking out here by myself. I'm speaking with a whole group of Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International groups that are seeing this.
Well, we do understand that, John. We do understand that, and you're right about the people who are looking for human rights. But wait a minute here. When the Constitution was written, I'm going to fall on some dangerous ground here for a minute. When the Constitution was written and had certain rules and regulations, we didn't have people flying airplanes into buildings, killing thousands of people in one shot. Isn't it fair to say, though, John, that because of how the world has changed, how the terrorists have changed, how the criminals have changed, if we don't change with the times, and if we are stuck with laws in the 17, 18, 1900s, we're going to see more people die?
What I'm saying is we have changed with the times. It hasn't been repeated. The problem is, will we go too far? We need a balance here. And the balance that we're given, as any kid learns in school, is the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, protecting people. I mean, when you're seeing people shot on the streets, what we saw in Baltimore and Ferguson is just a warning. It's people saying, enough's enough. So balance is key. Yeah, I want a secure country. I mean, I have killed kids. I understand that. But also, I don't want us to throw our Constitution out the window and repeat the mistakes of former regimes. And we could very well do that. So we have to be careful. I mean, the other fellow here works for the government. He said he couldn't tolerate. Wait a second. Toleration is the key. We have to tolerate people out there speaking, raising their voices. They don't need to be arrested on the street corner because they disagree, and I'm seeing that on a daily basis now.
Okay, well, let me get to that then, Stewart. I don't see a lot of people being arrested just for speaking out here, Stewart, so I would imagine that you would immediately take some umbrage with that.
I do. You know, it's been 6 years since I had any ability to even encourage the arrest of anybody. When I say I won't tolerate it, it means I will not let it go unanswered. I think that John and his supporters on the left and Human Rights Watch and the like are promulgating a myth that is very dangerous. I've been a constitutional lawyer myself, and I remember what Justice Jackson said. The Constitution is not a suicide pact. It doesn't make us do things that...
Okay, then let me do this then, because we're running short on time, and I want to move this discussion forward. Please, John, I start with you. Take about 30, 45 seconds, if you will. What, in your opinion, do we need to do going forward in order to ensure that we remain a safe nation, we keep our people safe from terrorist acts like this, and then we don't go too far?
Oh, yeah, we do our surveillance. We've done so far. But again, we have to be very, very careful that we don't overstep, where we completely eliminate privacy, where we allow armed agents to be zooming on the streets, shooting down people. We don't want that. I mean, people are afraid. I mean, there are cities and places that I go and talk to people and I defend them. They're afraid to let their kids go outside now. They're worried that they can't do anything private. Do we really want that in America? Just because we can huddle and be so-called safe? And I guarantee you, we won't be safe. And you saw that in the Boston Marathon and things like that. We're not going to, it's increased, but you're always going to have the wacko.
Okay.
You want the wacko run the show is the question.
Okay, 45 seconds to you then, Stewart, the word on your thoughts about moving forward.
You know, our biggest threat today, apart from the privacy myths, is the fact that we're letting ourselves get comfortable with the idea of letting in tens of thousands of refugees, many of whom already hate us, but will come for the jobs, and of letting ISIS establish a safe haven where they can plan and train for a major new attack. Those are the things that are most putting us at risk.
Gentlemen, it is, we're all out of time, but it's interesting that we've now discovered that what I thought, we still have a Grand Canyon-esque divide in how to basically move this country forward in so many ways to still remain safe. We need to keep talking. We need to keep working on it. We must keep remembering, never again and never forget. That certainly comes from me and a lot of other people. Stewart Baker and John Whitehead, I want to thank you both for joining us, gentlemen, on a very difficult day. We'll speak about this again. Coming up next, the new era of insult politics. And it means talking about hair next on The Hardline.